This is Carla at the Jackson County Public Library in Ripley, and this is one of our Halloween crafts. We figured since spooky season is coming up, you should have some spell books around your house setting out as decorations. And these are incredibly easy to make. We have several different kind here. This one has like little herb bottles on the front of it. This one is more like a grimoire, potions, and this is like dragon skin, something out of Harry Potter type stuff. This one is also the same thing. It's like from the Forbidden Library in Harry Potter. And there's a variety of different ways you can make them. There is scads of ideas on Pinterest. So if you don't see anything here you like, you might want to go there to Pinterest and pick out something else. This is simply like a little skeleton you get at the dollar store. I'll show you how to do the eyes. The scales on here are split peas with fingernail polish over top of them. This eyeball has fingernail polish on the back of it to have it the glittery glow type thing appearance. But today we are going to do this like Frankenstein type one, and I'm going to clear this off and get started, and I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, just give us a call here at the library and we'll be happy to answer them, or you can message us on Facebook and we'll be happy to answer them. So let me pause it here and then we'll get started. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get started. We're going to go over the supplies you need. You're going to need a book. Now we have quite a few books that you could choose from that are just older books, and the cool thing about this craft is it doesn't destroy the book completely. You could still use the book. Like this is like a school book from probably home ec years and years ago. You'll need a book, pair of scissors, several different size paintbrushes, like a big one for the paper you're going to put on this, and a couple smaller ones for the eye. You're going to need some paper. I like using this brown paper because I just like the texture, and this is lightweight. This will be for the scar lines here that are stitched up. It's easier to work with when it comes to sewing because you can get a needle through it easier. But for the base covering, I like this heavier paper. No, it doesn't have to be brown paper. It can actually be any kind of paper you have. So I just like using this. It comes in packing boxes and stuff like that when you get in books and stuff. You're going to need paint. Now you can make this any color you want. I'm going to do the eyes green with like kind of a flush toned white part. I'm also going to paint. I'm going to mix a little black and a little brown to make a dark brown for the actual leather part. You're going to need some empty containers to put your paint and your glue in, because you're definitely going to need glue. Now it doesn't have to be Mod Podge, but I'm using Tacky glue, but it's going to be a Mod Podge like application. And you're going to need one, can you see that? Half marble, a clear one, that's for the eyeball. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to clear off our space a little bit, and we're going to mix up some paint. So I'm going to use some brown. Oh, this is a new one that opened up. And I want it more brown than black, so I'm going to put quite a bit of that in there. You use a lot of this, a lot more than you think, but it's better to work in small batches than wasting a bunch. And then I have some kind of a blackish gray we're using for something else that I'm going to put in there to mix. It's kind of like a charcoal color. And that way we're not wasting paint. Now, we have plenty of old books that you could come and get. You don't have to like provide those yourself. We have eyeballs, and I could probably round up some paper, and then we have string that you can use for like the stitching later. The needles you'll have to get yourself, the glue, you're on your own with that, and the paint, because we won't have enough paint. to send home with everybody. So let me mix this up a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see? It's kind of a grayish brown color. It's dark. So I think that'll be good. So the first thing you're going to want to do is paint, well, get your paper and wrinkle it all up. This gives it texture when you flatten it out later, and it makes it look more like leather. Now I am probably not going to need all of this. I'm going to measure my book to see if I can get it to go this way, and it will. So I will probably cut it right about here because I'm going to tear some of this. So there's, I'll mark that place. Now I'm going to flatten this out, and I'm going to start painting. And it doesn't have to be a solid color. If you get different variations in the brown to the grayish black, that'd be better. It looks more natural that way. So I'm not going to make you watch me paint this whole thing, so I'm going to pause it here and come back when I'm done. Okay, I have this completely painted now. I tried to make sure that I didn't leave any big glops of paint on it anywhere. There's a few of them, but I think it'll be okay. I'm going to set this off to the side now and let it dry. And we're going to go back to the thin paper. And this is also packing paper, but I'm only going to paint probably 2 of these, about half the size, because you'll need it to put over the scar lines in a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and get this painted. See if I can do this really quick. And so I don't have to, I don't know, maybe I should go ahead and turn the pause here and come back when I'm done with this. It's going to take a few more minutes than I expected. So I'm going to pause you. There's our thin paper painted. Now there's one more thing you can do while this is all drying, and that is to get your eyeball ready. So we have our eyeball. And when you do this, you have to do it in reverse. So you'll paint your pupil, and then you'll paint the iris, and then you'll paint the white. So we're going to get started on that. So let me get the black out again. And you have to decide on what kind of iris you want. Do you want it to be like a human type with a round pupil? Do you want it to be like snake-like or cat-like? Or something entirely different? So I'm going to start with making this one kind of round, but with just a little bit slightly cat-like. Okay, there's that. Then you will get whatever color paint you want for the iris. Let me shake this up a little bit. And carefully go around it. Just going to kind of dab a little bit. If you mess this up, you can always let the paint dry and wash it off. See, I want this a little rounder or smoother along the edges. So I'm just going to go like that a little bit. larger on that side, so we'll just wipe off a little bit of that to fix it. Still got a little bit right there. Okay, and then we're going to get the white, or in my case, the cream. Get something, I didn't get anything to wipe my brush off on, so we're just going to use some tape over here. Because you're not going to see this anyway when you use it. Okay. Just put it back on that. Let me shake this one up too, because I'm going to just shake some of the paint onto the lid so I don't have to get a separate thing since I'm using such a little bit of it. Now with this, you're just going to take it and you're going to fill in the outside. Now if you want to, you can let each layer dry in between and just paint over the, like you could paint over the whole thing with the following color, but I don't really want to wait until the layers dry. So we're just going to carefully go around this. And then when we get it done, we're going to flip it over carefully because it's still wet and see how it looks. See, I've missed a little bit right there. You can see the glass. So we're going to come back over and fill that in. And then that's what it's going to look like when it dries. So we're going to set that aside and let it dry, and then we'll move on to the next step. I think our paper is dry enough now. So we're going to flip it over so that the unpainted side is facing up. And we're going to lay the book down. And basically, we're just going to kind of center it a little bit. And now we're going to mix up a little bit of glue. Like I said, I'm using tacky glue. So mix a little bit of tacky glue, and it is really thick, so we're going to need it a little thinner than that. So I'm going to add a little bit of water and stir it up. Still got some paint in my brush. I'm using the same brush I used to paint with, but it's not going to matter. And we stir this around until it dissolves. Or at least it doesn't look as chunky. And then just start painting it on your book. And then paint this side too. It sticks there pretty good. And push it over there so it fits kind of tight. Now we're going to do the entire, this will dry clear so you don't have to worry about the white looking. Then you're going to fold it up I'm going to turn it around so you guys can see. And we're going to do this side the same way. Put your glue down. Now this one will be a little trickier because you're going to have to measure here. Just so you can see it. To give it that little bit of slack it needs to close. Now you can glue it to the whole thing down to the book, which is fine too. But I'm going to try to do this a little faster this time. And you're going to put glue on the front of it anyway, so that'll help hold it down. And I will warn you in advance, when you close this up like this, it is going to glue that first page. See how we have way too much extra here? We're going to get this is about, I don't know, a couple inches there. We're going to come up a couple inches here. I'm going to cut this off. Now, we're going to go ahead and put glue all over this to help glue it down to the book, because it should soak through. See, it's already glued right there. And this is going to go in stages. We're going to have to glue a little bit, let it dry, glue a little bit. I can go ahead and do this. Now I'm going to try this and see if it doesn't stick too bad. Because as soon as we get this done, we're going to have to let it dry again for a little bit. So I'll have to pause it until the glue dries some. Good, it's not sticking to the plastic very much, so we might be able to go ahead and do this. So you're going to have to cut where the spine is. Cut out that little slab right there, otherwise it's not going to fold up for you well. I don't think you can see this. Let me scoot this. Well, let's do it on this side. To do the corners, you need to fold them in. Add a little bit of glue. Just lay it down there. Like that. You can peel your page back. And then, there's your other one. Glue it in like that. Now you're going to do this on all 4 corners. And then put glue over top of it. You'll do the same thing for the other end, but I'm going to pause it now and finish these up, and then I'll show you how, and for this right here, we'll go ahead and do that. Just cut it off really close to the spine. You can see that. Like that. Take it really close right there. Put a little bit of glue on it, fold it over, and kind of tuck it down like that. So I'm going to pause the video now and finish up the other corners and the other side, the other spine side, and then I'll be back. I'm going to go ahead and work on this even though it's really probably too wet to work on, but I think I can work on it enough to show you how to do it. Remember, when you do your own, make sure it dries thoroughly. But since I still have to work the desk some, I'm not going to have a lot of time to like let the whole thing dry, so we'll do it the best we can. This is the one we're going to make, so you got to figure out where you want your eye. And this one, I think I'll put it right about there. So place your eye first. You're going to want to glue it on. Whoops, I think it's going to stay right there. And now you're going to get the other paper you didn't paint yet. And basically, you're going to kind of tear off strips and twist them up. I'm sorry. So you can see. And decide where you want them. This one kind of has something going all the way around the eye. So we're just going to place them down at first and see how we like it. Another strip. Let me see if I can scoot this over there a little bit so you guys can see better. How about there? Is that better? So I've got my thing twisted up. It's still kind of tacky, so it's going to hold a little bit, which is good. Put one there, and then we had one coming down this way, so we need another piece, and I'm just twisting my paper. So we're probably going to run one down like that. Don't worry if it goes over the edge right now. We'll clip that off later. And we have one. It kind of goes up like this. It's not really, it's kind of wonky. It wasn't a very good plastic surgeon that did this. Up there. Now if you can see here, this tore a little bit on me, but that's okay because we're going to put some paper over it, and I got a little bit of tear right there where I did not let it dry. But I think we're going to be able to fix it. Another one kind of goes up like this. Okay. Now that we got them placed kind of where we want them, that one's going to need a little glue to stay. No, still not going to work. Now you're going to get the lightweight paper that you painted, and basically you're just going to tear off chunks of it. And you're going to put it, get a smaller chunk, over these. And try, I learned the hard way on this one, try not to actually glue right at where your paper's at. Glue out on the edges because it's really hard to get a needle through the glue. And we're going to have to be sewing around this, so that one's going to be a little bit fun. It looks like we're going to have to put some there, just don't put a ton. And if you have to squeeze it to get it to stay, that's fine. This just takes some manipulation. So let's get another bit. You can always keep adding layers to get it to look the way you want it to look. This just kind of makes it look like it's patchwork together like Frankenstein. Which, hey, sorry about that. I ran out of battery. So, I had to plug in the camera. Basically, you're just going to keep doing this in little pieces until you get it totally covered. Be careful around your eye. We're going to put a little eyelid on there in a minute. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, I don't really want that much paper right there, so I'm going to rip that off. I know I said not to put a whole lot of glue there, but I'm having to put more than I wanted. But we'll just have to get a really sharp needle. And sometimes you have to keep working at the glue to get it to stay. But eventually it'll catch, you know, it'll stick on there really good. And see how that's wanting to wrinkle? If you rip it a little bit, it'll lay down better. It's like cutting like little chunks when you're doing fabric. It's the same type of idea. That one's not wanting to stick. You may have to put another little piece over it. Like that. Wrinkle it up, wrinkle it up. Okay, we've almost got this done. And then we'll do the eyelids. We just need a little skinny strip down here. Go ahead and cut that off. Okay, I think it'll work. tuck that in later. And then a couple little pieces right here. Right there. Now, because I ripped it right here, I'm going to stick a piece right here to cover up the tear. And I will tuck all these other ones under later. I got one more right here that I'm going to cover up because I got a tear right there too. And this just gives it like a Frankenstein type look, a real patchworky kind of. Now, for the eyelids, remember the extra paper we cut off of the heavier stuff? I'm gonna use it. And just gonna tear off a piece. This will probably do 2 of them, so we'll cut this in 2. Okay, I'm gonna fold it a couple times. Kind of measure. And that looks like it might work. So we're going to trim this up a little bit to get a rounder eyelid. I think that'll do it. So we'll put some glue down. Put glue on this. We'll stick it down. And we'll put some glue here. I'm going to regret that later because it's probably going to be hard to sew through. And the same thing with the bottom eyelid. Fold it. Okay, make it rounder. The bottom eyelid doesn't have to be as big. But you do want to do a couple folds so that it's thick enough. Okay, I think I'm going to add maybe a little teeny bit paper right here to kind of hold these two together. And on this side, do a little bit of glue on that. And here. Whoops. Stick it right down there. Now, if you wanted to have more wrinkles at the top and the bottom, you can fold over some more and add like an extra layer of, which I think I might do that. Just to give it a little more wrinkly, monster looking appearance. Now, we will let this completely dry. I will get back with you when it's dry, which will probably be sometime tomorrow because it takes a while for the glue to set up really good. And then we will do our sewing. So, I'll see you. I'm going to pause it for now and I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so it has been 24 hours and this is fairly dry now. I may have to touch up some places with some glue later, but we're going to start sewing. Now, you're going to need a fairly large needle with a decent size eye. And what I'm going to use today is this like cord or twine. I think it's twine. Yeah, it's cotton twine. I'm just going to cut me off a piece, but because this is not going to fit through the eye of the needle, I'm going to have to undo it. So I'm just going to take one, kind of like you would do like DMC floss or something like that when you just need a couple of the strands. So if I can get this taken off. Take a little longer than I expected. We'll see if we can pull it really good. Nope, it's wound too tight. So let me get this. I'm going to pause the video and I'll come back when I get this done. Okay, well, I've got it untangled now. I got all three of them untangled. That was the tightest twine I've ever tried to work with, so it took longer than I expected. So there's one and two. Hopefully we won't need all three of these, but just in case. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your needle and the thread, whatever you're using. Just thread your needle. Well, this might turn out to be harder than I thought. There we go. I need some nails. There we go. So you don't have to tie a knot in the end of it, because we're going to kind of tuck it in. So what you're going to do is, if I can get this over here where you can see it, is you're going to start, like we're going to go down here, start way, let's go at a steeper angle than that. Let's go way down here. Our first stitch is going to be right across this bottom here. So I started way up here and brought it out here so that when I pull this, which I've got it stuck in the book, you can leave that tucked in and it doesn't show. And then you just start making your stitches. Over. Get these out of the way. And you can make them as close or as far apart as you want. This way, aren't I? And then you can either just do the straight ones, or you could make an X if you want to. Do that one across, and maybe I want to come back across and make it kind of sloppy, and go up this other side now. Doesn't have to be neat stitches. You really don't want perfectly little neat surgical stitches. There's you got you an X. And you just basically go over all these raised pieces with the stitching. I can get the needle to come through that side. There we go. Until you get them all stitched off, and you'll have a really cool looking scary story book, or a scary potion book, or scary whatever kind of book you want it to be. It could be like a Harry Potter, like Forbidden Library type book, whatever you want to display for the Halloween season. And as you get down towards where they're both there, just pull the one through and add some more string to it. Now when you get to the end of one of the strings, you can tie it off, or you can just tuck it in under like I did this first one so that you can't see it, and start a new one. Oops. So I'm going to finish this up, and then I'm going to come back and show you the completed project, and hopefully you guys will have fun making your own. So I'll stop it and I'll pause it right now, and I'll let you know when we're finished. Okay, I have finished up with the last string. I'm just going to clip this off right here so you don't really see it. Lay off to the side, and there is our finished product. So kind of a creepy book for Halloween. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you make some of your own. Remember, there's a ton of them on Pinterest you can look at for ideas, or you can come in and look at the ones we have here. And I'll get back with you for the next thing. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.